The government looked this guy dead in the eyes and said, "You don't exist," simply because he doesn't have a social security number. This is the guy who was never born. He just spawned out of nowhere. 2004, a Burger King employee stepped out to throw the trash. She then sees a naked middle-aged man slumped over the dumpster. Quickly calls the police. When they arrived, the man was unresponsive, so they took him to the hospital. Upon examination, it was found the man was in his 50s and was covered in sunburn and had 3 depressions. Someone hit him hard in the head. With no form of identification on him, the hospital staff labeled him as John Doe. Well, actually it was Burger King Doe, or BK for short. When BK was finally lucid enough to respond, he couldn't remember anything except that his name was Benjaman. He was transferred to a psychological ward where BK started to regain his senses. Slowly, some insignificant memories crept back to him. He remembered his birthday, August 29th, 1948. He said he remembered it because he was born 10 years before Michael Jackson to the day. After his release, Benjamin Kyle spent the next few years drifting between hospitals, homeless shelters, and the streets. Having no ID nor social security number makes it impossible to find a job. On top of that, he had to get a vision correction surgery because he had cataracts in both of his eyes. After the recovery, he looked in the mirror and was horrified to discover he looked 20 years older than he had thought. Who the hell was this guy? His fingerprints were compared to the FBI database, his face was searched for on driver's license registers, and he did many DNA tests, but still they couldn't figure out who he was. BK then underwent hypnotherapy, which helped him remember that he had 2 or 3 brothers and that he lived in Indianapolis, Indiana. With this, they were able to place BK in Indianapolis around the 50s and 70s. But what happened after the 80s, the last 20 years of his life, were totally missing. 2015. After a decade searching for his former identity, BK had a DNA match with a disabled veteran in Indiana named Furman Powell, who said he had a brother who was born on August 29, 1948, and that brother disappeared in 1976, leaving all his belongings and went to Colorado to work as a cook. So BK was Furman Powell's missing brother, and his real name was William Burks Powell. Still, the last 20 years after the 80s up until 2004 is still a mystery.